fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson! Anderson's up top now!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Sec's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go! Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Hello everyone and welcome to SimSpeed TV's coverage of the 2021 Virtual Racing School GT Sprint Series live here at Oulton Park. An old school circuit which doesn't care for AstroTurf or runoff spaces. If you find yourself clipping the grass around this venue, there is only one direction you can go, and that's straight into the walls, lighting the circuit in close proximity. I'm Bo Albert, back again this week, and alongside me for tonight is Mr. Simon Mazzomo, who I have to thank for covering me brilliantly last time out at Laguna Seca, and of course, in the director's chair, we have Mr. J.K. Kennedy. Simon, we're heading to Oulton Park, but it's going to be a tricky one to pass for these GT3 cars, but there is so much character to this circuit.
You've hit the nail on the head there, Bo. Character. That's one thing this track has plenty of. Located just outside of Little Budworth in Cheshire in England, it is a tiny little 4.3 kilometre circuit, but its challenge tonight is going to be passing. It's going to make qualifying extra important. You know, you want to try and get up front and try and stay out of all the carnage that may happen in this track. It's obviously a track that requires a lot of dedication, commitment to try and get passes done. You can see the track on screen. It opened in 1953 in the original circuit. 1954 they extended the track layout, and 1992 it had the chicanes added. We speak about it. It's a very short run to turn one, only 265 meters, so critical getting a brilliant start to get to turn one. And we will take a hot lap around the track very shortly, and this one was done by our very own Bo Albert.
Yes, indeed. Of course, one of the most attractive men in all of Australian sim racing that I've heard, of course. That is something I need to fact check, but apparently he's very wrong, according to my director. But there you go, Oulton Park. Such history here, such speed as well. You'll see it's a very unique track to get a hot lap around here. The off-tracks are so easy to get as we find ourselves plunging towards turn number one, downshifting all the way down to third gear. And this AstroTurf on the exit is a big no-no. You touch that, that is an off-track. Your qualifying lap is already done for. Plunging into turn number three, down to third gear, and really hugging the inside here once again, using the camber of the road to fire yourself out with maximum speed, heading towards the terrifying turn number four. High speed, mid-engine car, it's trying to get away from you here. Lots of understeer. Make sure that rear doesn't come around too far, because you're in for a big crash as we plunge into the cambered turn number six. Second gear, get the power on exit. Really easy to light up the rears before we get into the first of two chicanes. Fire it across the first curb, plunge it into the second, and make sure you stay away from those terrifying tyre bundles. So easy to clip. And once again, they're not immovable, so if you hit them, boy oh boy, are you going to see some damage. Braking at the 100-meter board, flick it into the first right, carry it back to the left, and then bring it all the way to the left to open up a right. A very technical section of the road, but one you have to master because it finds itself exiting all the way up a massive hill. So overtakes are possible here if you've got the cojones to do it. Into this ultra-fast right-hander, third gear car stepping around super loose on the power once again. Use all the exit road into the final corner, braking at the marker on the left side, hard on the brakes, open up the right-hander, plummet downhill, which is actually quite a large elevation change, and that is a lap here at Oulton Park Raceway. So Simon, we said it as character, just from that lap, you can see the elevation change around this circuit.
Yeah, lots of elevation change and a lot of cambered corners as well. You'll, as you sort of picked up with that last corner, because you're coming out of it with completely blind, you come over the top, and if you let the car run too wide, well, there's just grass at the exit of the corner. So very easy to make a mistake, very easy for the car to come and settle that corner that we just went through there, another corner as well. Very fast when you come into it, but if the car gets a little bit twitchy, it's going to be very hard to hold on to it. So it's, as you say, it's a track where you've got to be 100% committed and yeah, be comfortable in getting the car to be a little bit sideways on you.
Having a look right now at Mr. Hayden Burns, one of Australia's finest GT racers, over 8k rating, so very, very experienced, and no surprise to see car number 1 on his car for tonight. We're going to get a virtual racing school replay very quickly. It's Simon Nicholson, who has been preparing in the lead up to this. He's not done many laps. He said it was one of his first GT3 races just a little while ago, and that Audi can bite, and it's bit hard into the wall for Simon Nicholson. And that could be a big mark on his qualifying, because he's going to get 1 lap now to maximize it. So while everyone gets 2 chances, he's essentially doing a 1-lap shootout.
Yeah, that's going to be a big issue there. He looks like he's got enough time, should get back out and go for 1, but where you sort of do the first lap to get you sort of your mind in the right place, you sort of get a feel of what the track's like, what the car's like, and your second lap is really where you sort of put it down. Now he's got to actually try and reset himself and try and nail it on the first lap, which, yeah, quite difficult. We see Hayden Burns straight to the top with a 31.6, 2/10 faster than Luke Turner at the moment, who's currently second in a McLaren. Once again, the McLarens have really good pace here tonight.
Absolutely. I've done a few of these races myself this week, and those McLarens in particular, in the sections where you've really got to launch the car over the curb, are phenomenal. But I've been running the Audi, and you cannot count this car out either. It's very stable, surprisingly, compared to the McLaren, and can still get some very decent lap time. So I think for tonight, with the balanced performance, you're going to be seeing a lot of Audi versus McLarens. At the moment, it is an Audi on the top step with a McLaren in position number 2. Calix Poon is going to run their way across for their first flying lap of the night. 32.4 is good enough for position number 4 at the moment. So we'll see how they get on their second lap as we go to Saiful Arifin at the moment in the BMW. So an interesting choice. Of course, at the moment, we do have a BMW in position number 3, so they can go quick. But for Saiful, they run through the final corner, build the speed all the way up to the exit, and stop the clock at a 33.7. So right now, that will be enough for position number 10, I believe, if he didn't get an off track. And it is so easy to do with the AstroTurf around here, Simon.
Yeah, turn 1, one thing, obviously we'll talk about it a bit, but turn 1's probably the biggest one. It entices you to use so much of the off track, and there's so much time to be found there, but it's very harsh when it comes to off tracks. And in a quali lap, when you're trying to maximize every little inch of the track, that will bite you. And we've seen that obviously in a few laps already, where just getting that little bit too wide is enough. You see Thomas Hinds go to 4th, actually, because Mitch McLeod has actually just jumped over top of him into 3rd place with a 32.2. So the times up front, very close.
Absolutely they are, but at the moment, no one can get close to Hayden Burns as Dan Carpenter, the man, to challenge pole position. He stops the clock at a 33.2, which will get him all the way up to position number 14. I believe our timing screen's just scrolling through at the moment as we have a look at Simon Nicholson, who is trying to get his second lap in. Of course, the first lap didn't go to plan, but when he hooks it together, he can be very quick indeed, and he stops the clock at a 32.2. He'll be disappointed with that, I'll have to say, especially if he got an off track. Thankfully, it was a little bit delayed coming up, but it is a 4th place start there for the Audi R8, assuming no one else on track does improve. We have a Lamborghini on track in the form of Achille Gorbett at the moment, and the number 8 car looking very good. That is a striking livery, I have to say. It looks gorgeous running around this British circuit, and they will stop the clock at a 32.8. So a lot of cars in the 32 range for tonight, and that is enough for, unlucky for some, 13th place. Darren Schoon in the BMW in the very traditional Falcon Tyres livery. Through the final corner, where can Darren stop the clock and get that BMW? Can he be the highest placed of them all at the end of this lap? So 33.8 for him, and he will stop the clock and go to position 23.
Fabio Iotti on screen at the moment. Looks like he is going to be on. Having a quick look, it'll actually be his first lap. He hasn't actually settling it, so he's actually left it quite late. There's only about a minute 22 on the clock, so he won't have enough time to do one more lap. This is going to be it. So very brave to leave it to right at the end of the quality, because he's coming right out using all the curb on the outside. He's got to get the car pulled up, be late hard on the brakes. The car bounces a little bit on the curbs. Comes out onto the final corner. It's been a decent run out of the final to see what he could do. 31, 32, 32.6. That, wait and see. Yep, that'll bring it up to 14th place. Very good lap time, but that pack there in the 32s, that is a very tight field at the moment.
Yep, and it's very tricky to pass around here. So with so many cars and a tight gaggle of time, it's going to mean we're going to have some good pack racing in the upcoming race. We've seen a very interesting racing so far this week in this series, with lots of races decided by fuel-saving strategy. So even if our pole sitter is some major margin ahead of position number 2 of Luke Turner at the moment, don't be too concerned, because there is a lot of strategy that is going on in these next 40 minutes. But leading them off to the green flag will be Hayden Burns ahead of Luke Turner in the McLaren. Semi Heinmo in third place will start ahead of Calix Poon, with Dan Carpenter getting a great second lap in to go to P number 5 on row 3, with Simon Nicholson as his company. Mitch McLeod in position number 7 starts ahead of Thomas Hinds, with Tony Sulasami in position number 9 ahead of Matt Morris.
And we roll over 11th Matthias Woodsko and Maverick Benson in 12th, Augusto Verablanco in 13th, Fabio Iotti with that last lap flyer in 14th, Jack Mitchell 15th, Achille Golbert in 17th, Christian Kuit in 17th place, Gregory Bullion in 18th, Enzo Hicta, sorry about that, in 19th, and Seifel Arifin rounding out the top 20.
21st will go to the Audi of Matthew Keane, with 22nd going to Paul Bugeljek. Sorry, I've absolutely butchered your name, but you're in the Ferrari, so good opportunity for some good points here tonight. Hendrik Unzen in 23rd, ahead of Darren Schoon in the BMW, Paul Mansell in 25th, and Tommy DeWild in 26th spot. So 26 cars going to take to this very, very short formation lap, which starts in the final few corners of the lap. So Simon, not much time for these drivers to prepare for the race.
No, they've got to be well prepared. Whatever strategy they've got worked out in their head about how they're going to deal with the traffic, how they think their pit stops will play out. At the moment, I think Hayden will be focusing very much on trying to nail this start. He's in a very, very good position. The start definitely favours the pole sitter in this point. So Luke's going to have a hard task in trying to be able to hold onto that second place. So, but yeah, not long at all. And 27 laps this one, so it's going to be a decent effort for these guys, and that pit stop score is obviously going to play a big factor.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a 23-degree track, so it's actually one of the hotter races I have seen so far this week, and I know that may seem surprising at just 23 degrees, but of course the UK, it's so well renowned for its sunshine. Not. The drivers are underway on the pace lap, and it is Hayden Burns leading things. And a quick little note that I found while doing some of these races this week as well is the time from when the spotter calls the safety car is in the pit lane and you're now free to accelerate whenever you wish, to the time of the green flag actually flying is remarkably short. It's something less than a second around this track. So the window for you to actually get the rolling start is actually quite narrow. So yes, it is absolutely an advantage to be the pole sitter, but for Hayden Burns, he doesn't have too much to play with in compared to other circuits, like let's say Spa on the formation lap, where you can really begin to play some mind games. But at the bottom of this hill, safety car will plunge down before eventually pulling away. Hayden staying very, very close to the safety car indeed, so it's going to be a short run into turn number 1 as the green flag flies, and we're underway for round 9 of the virtual racing school GT Sprint Series, and it's a great getaway. Luke Turner into second place. Sammy Heinmo is easily into third as well, as they all battle behind. You can see lots of cars side by side. Will they all make it? The answer is no. There's a Lamborghini, there's an Audi, there's a little bit of everything, and Fabio Iotti, after 14th on the grid, is in the wall along with Christian Kuit in the Team Huiskenveld engineering car. Big wiggle for one of our Audis. That was Dan Carpenter out of turn number 3 as well. Lucky to hold on to it as they head into the ultra high-speed turn number 4. And this is where on cold tyres, the cars are super, super squirrely. Does everyone hold on to it here on the first lap? I think they've all done a great job as Carpenter is challenged by Achille Gorbet, but can do nothing to do with the defense.
Yeah, it's very good to hold on to that one. But yeah, a little bit of contact into turn 1 on that start there. It's sort of everyone just seemed to check up a little bit once they got there. And unfortunately, there was just a little tiny bit of contact, and it's obviously caught out Fabio and Christian as well. But you can see running in to the Hillstops quarters. It's got to be very, very careful. Those two big tyre barrels there. As I said, they don't move and they will hurt heading up the hill. So far, so good. Everyone's in a bit of a single file run at the moment, so we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. Everyone trying to use this. Maybe see on replay, sorry, we just saw it had there as well. We saw that incident that occurred in turn 1. So we'll see how that race plans out for them. There's a long way to go, so they might still be able to scrape a result out of this one.
I don't know. There was a big hit into the wall there for the Huiskenveld engineering car, and that's a disappointing way to start their race. It was contact with Achille Gorbett there, as all kinds of out of shape into turn 1. Here comes Nicholson with a much better run, trying to make the advantage there. Who was that? Was that? Oh! Crash! Absolutely huge! Hard into the wall goes Nicholson, back onto the track, collected, kablam! More cars involved. Jack Mitchell, nowhere to go, more in the fence. Well, Dan Carpenter involved, and we're gonna need some kind of medic on track, because that was one of the biggest crashes we've seen all season, only rivaled by their wreck at Road America, as more chaos ensues into the fast right. Smoke up ahead as well. One car's in the wall. Who's that? It's Mitch McLeod. Hard into the fence. There was another very slow as well. What has happened? Lap 1 was clean. Lap 2 says no sirree.
Yeah, that one just exploded. That was Mitch McLeod involved in that other one. So something has happened there. There was a massive checkup just out of 1, and there was just 3 or 4 cars wide. See, Mitch has escaped back to the pits. Day done for Mitch. Get the replay on the screen. We'll try and see. But there was a checkup in here. I'm not quite sure what's happened, but you can see 3, 4 wide. Mitch has been hung out the outside. Can't control it. Contact with Simon. That is unfortunate, but then Simon just rolls back onto the track and big contact. You can see the concertina effect just occurs after that. Everyone just trying to find their way through, but Mitch is able to keep going, but then you'll see on the replay, something has happened up here as well. Someone spun right in front and is taking avoiding action, I think. Or he's actually been collected by someone else. And that was Sammy Heinmo, I believe, who made the contact. I've got to say, Mitch, I love you, mate, but I'm not so sure driving the car 3 wide onto the grass was the brightest idea I've ever seen. Fast lap of the race goes to Achille Gorbett. Of course, probably one of the only drivers to actually get a clean lap in with all the chaos that we saw. And we're going to get a replay here of what happened just a few moments ago as well. Oh, sorry, this is back live. I'm getting all kinds of bamboozled. So this is Sammy Heinmo, I believe, on screen. And he's having a lot of issues at the moment. As you can see, he's trying to hold off Thomas Hinz back then to Tony Slami in position number 5. And he's in a big battle as well with a big train of cars behind him. But out of nowhere, the whole race has sort of been thrown out of proportion, Simon. Yeah, a little bit. We're everyone was taking it easy for that first lap. But yeah, it is kind of good though. It's created quite a few little battle packs. You can see that's forming here on screen at the moment. And for some of the few guys that started down the back of the field, so like Paul Mansell and Tommy DeWild, up 9 spots already. There's a fair few up 7 spots. So those who didn't have optimal quality laps have made a huge advantage out of this one already. But I said it's still in the early stages. A few battle packs starting to form, so we'll have to wait and see. You know, when the time comes and people starting to make those moves, try and gain those positions. You know, will we see a bit more contact of what we've seen in that second lap tussle?
Yeah, we'll have to find out as Thomas Hinz and Sammy Heinmo are scrapping it out at the moment for position number 3. It's the last spot on the podium. And Hinzy going to dive it to the inside of turn number 1. A brave spot to go for a move. And Sammy leaves room, but I'm not really sure that was the spot to go for a move, Hinzy. So he will live to fight another day, though, and try and make a move somewhere else in this circuit as Hayden Burns punches in a 132.0 and tries to extend his lead over Luke Turner, which he has done so far by 1.4 seconds. So a good start from the SimRC driver who recently went to SimRC from Vendavel Racing. So a bit of a switch there as we get a side-by-side here of one looking back, one looking forward. Sammy versus Hinzy at the moment, and Sammy's managed to put in a pretty decent part of this lap. There's a little bit of damage to the back of the Audi R8 at the moment with all that chaos we saw earlier on. So how much is that going to hurt him in his fight with Hinzy?
Absolutely. We can obviously see it behind too. You've got Tony and Matthias as well. That last lap they were both faster than this battle pack of Sammy and Hinzy. So you can see him move down the inside. Looks like Matthias has got the job done on Tommy, so that car's got some serious pace. Matt Morris is looking now for an opportunity to go past. I just sort of caught that the last second. Matthias setting that very, very much into the turn 11 and getting the job done. So Matthias obviously definitely got pace at the moment. No doubt will be joining up this battle pack with Sammy and Hinzy at the moment very soon. We'll have a quick look on replay so we can see that moved up. We've got a car off as well with number 8. Trying to think who that is. That will be Achille Gerbert as well.
Yep, so the Lamborghini, of course, that was the driver I believe may have kicked off the whole turn 1 shenanigans with the hoisted belt engineering car, has found themselves off as well. So not ideal at all for them as Hinsey and Sammy Heinmo continue their scrap at the moment as we go picture-in-picture here with a virtual racing school replay and see what on earth has happened in this race. And there's a big battle here. And we're going to try and get a pass through Oulton Park, which is so difficult to do, but late on the brakes, room given, and full credit to the driver getting past there to leave room because that is a tricky place to go side by side.
Yeah, very tricky. So to pull that one off like he's done, yeah, beautifully done. So we're just going to follow this replay for a little bit, but see what's happened here. He's just lost the rear at high speed, easy enough to do. Slight touch of the wall. Hopefully that's not a whole lot of damage. Quickly grabs reverse and just keeps going again. So on track at the moment. He's going to be put down to last, but not too far off the back of the pack. So we'll see what he can do. This battle rages on at the moment up front.
Yeah, indeed. Side by side through here is a sketchy thing to do. Sammy leaves room, but there's not really a gap. There's two so close to one another. And here comes Matthias, who gets absolutely blocked there from Thomas Hins. Now Matthias going to try and go the long way around the outside. Not able to do it, but over under. Here we come. It's going to be an attack into turn number 1. Much better exit there for the Audi. Hinsey covering the inside. And Matthias not going to be able to do much from here unless he's super brave. But again, going very wide on entry to try and get the exit speed. But Hinsey uses the AstroTurf to full effect and is able to just gap him just a little bit and defend from that one. But what it has done is allow Sammy Heinemo at the front of this little battle group just to extend his legs a little bit and give himself a bit of breathing room there. So Sammy, for the first time all race long, has got some breathing room to play with. As this pack is slowly drawing in more and more drivers. Last lap around, Sammy, who was at the front of this pack, did a 33.9. The driver in 6th of Tony Sorslami did a 33.0. 9/10 of a second was the gain. So this battle pack at the moment just getting more and more cars jumping on. Maverick Benson and Matt Morris behind in their own little battle, but at the pace they're going, they're also catching the battle for third.
Yeah, definitely going to catch up. You can see that gap's already shrunk down, so Tony Sammy not able to keep that gap open for very long, but you saw how aggressive Thomas was in that last time he came through here, and that's just what you've got to do around this place. Like you say, it's very difficult to pass, so you've got to try and find any opportunity you can to make it stick. As soon as they make a tiny little mistake, if there's a little opportunity that you can put a nose up the inside, you've got to sort of take them. So we sort of can expect them, and there's the big dive by Thomas Hins. Don't think it ever was really going to work there, but Sammy just opened the door a little bit just to make sure there's no contact, but this has also crippled the run a little bit too. You can see Matthias coming back there having a look. Hinsey's going to have another look. He just closes the door enough. Sammy's just being enough of a roadblock. He's not compromising himself too much, but he's just not letting Hins have a run. Matthias at the scene again, having another look. This is just going to keep going on until something breaks, I think. We've got just behind them as well, Tony Solosalami as well, having a look at this. He'd be trying to think, well, you know, you boys keep this up, this might be an opportunity for me. And again, just very defensive from Sammy. Got to think, is it worth being this defensive when potentially, if Hinsey's being this aggressive, of potential in an incident that could occur?
Yeah, you have to be careful with those big dives from Thomas Hins. You don't want it to end in a retirement as he makes a mistake there and is now under massive pressure from Matthias. We're on a replay at the moment and we'll have a look at that as well, but we could have a change of position here for 4th place at the moment. Contact! Matthias is gone! Massive hit from Tony Solasami behind. A bit of an awkward rejoin as well. Sorry to cut away from the replay there, guys, but a big battle has now sadly gone a little bit sour and Matthias has been dumped down the order with massive contact from Tony.
Yeah, we'll have a look at the replay and ball. Wonder what's happened there. It's almost like Tony's actually just sort of misjudged the braking point. Try and have another look at it. See as they come through the British chicane. Go on board as they run down into turn 10-11. As far back, goes on the brakes. I think he's missed the braking marker. I think he's just misjudged that completely.
You'd have to think so, wouldn't you? There was a really enormous closing speed there between the two of them. And sadly, it's all gone all kinds of wrong there So Tony does benefit from that, but sadly, a lot of drivers do not, as we have a few drivers jumping into the pits nice and early. And that is roughly what you can do. You notice here the fuel only lasts about 28 minutes. So what they're doing is actually the alternate strategy where they get the car past the mark where they need to fuel it up all the way to the top again, and then run it out to the end of the race. So not a bad thing, especially if you have been involved at the start of the race in an incident and are trying to get a bit of clean track and undercut the rest of the field. We go back to 8th place in the form of Maverick Benson and Gregory Bullion at the moment, who find themselves in a big pack of cars. Benson in the Ferrari, we've got a McLaren in there, on board with the BMW, and an Audi just a few cars behind here as well. So great diversity in this battle pack between all the drivers as they make their way into the second of Oulton Park chicanes. Of course, there is layouts around here where you bypass both chicanes, but this one just a little bit more technical rather than high speed, which I think is a good thing because it does open up a few more passing opportunities around this circuit. But right now, I don't think anyone's really going for passing. They're more just trying to settle into a rhythm now after everything that's gone on, and just try and hit their fuel marks, as Hayden Burns isn't too concerned about fuel, and he continues to extend the lead by about 4/10 every lap at the moment. So he's doing a great job out front for SimRC.de, as the very wounded and very unhappy Lamborghini Huracan of Hoiskenveld Engineering's Christian Hewitt continues to lap around in there. It's a very sore car after everything that's gone on in this race, but we're going to get a picture-on-picture here, replay, and I think here we might see the BMW just conceding position here against the Hoiskenveld Engineering Lamborghini, and a very easy exchange of positions there. And the Lamborghini in the background also thinking about maybe getting a spot as well.
And you said it wasn't really going to make much of a return
Oh,
in this pack.
shush.
See, got to be optimistic at times, even though, like I said, the start of the race didn't go to plan, but there's always a chance that you can recover something. That's why I sort of say a lot, it's always worth sticking it out, because you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, these packs are starting to build up at the moment. You can see this battle is resuming between Sammy and Thomas Hinz. So it's always good to see a bit of a different battle here with the Audi and the BMWs. You know, just sort of both different styles of cars. They both handle a bit differently, but as we're sort of seeing around here on a track like Oulton Park, they're both just as quick as each other. Obviously have their own strengths and weaknesses around the track, but yeah, fantastic racing at the moment. But just noticing at the lap times too, between Hayden Burns and Luke Turner, the gap between Luke and Sammy at the moment is out to about 16 seconds. So you can see the pace difference between first and second and the rest of the field. They are in a league of their own at the moment.
Yep, absolutely. Those two have really gapped. The we're chasing pack behind as this battle continues to rage on. The Audi in the background there of Tony Sulaslami. That was a massive little wiggle. I saw that in the background there. Just the Audi being as twitchy as always. Paul Mansell decides to dive into the pit lane and take his mandatory pit stop. Because of course these cars will not make it to the end of the 40-minute race without a pit stop. So all these drivers have to have some kind of you know, a bit of a strategy brain on their minds at the moment to make sure that they're fully equipped to deal with anything that gets thrown their way, because the undercut here is surprisingly powerful. I know everyone's thinking, but Bo, you don't take tyres in VRS GT races. No, you don't. But in the pit stop, we know with iRacing's tyre model that sometimes cool attempts and pressures are actually just a little bit more competitive. Well, when you're sitting in the pit lane not moving, the tyres cool down and you get a little bit of a gain on your outlap. So actually, the outlap is still relatively important here. So for someone like Thomas Hinz right now, who clearly has the pace over Sami Heinamo in position number 3, but just can't find a way past, that's an option, Simon.
Have a quick look on board with Tony at the moment. That'll be that little sideways movement that Bo was talking about. We'll have a look on screen. The team coming out of the corner. That is a bit of opposite lock being thrown in there. So very good job to catch that one. Very easy for that one to just keep going, keep sliding, and not end the best way. As you can see, this battle is still heating up. Hinz trying to go around the outside. He's actually going to get the nose just in there. Looks like he might actually get this move done. He's got it in front. You can't really go around the outside there. Hinzy, after a 20-odd minutes of battling, will finally get the job done up into P3. Now we can see what pace has this BMW got at the moment. Can he get the gap out to Sammy as we get up to the pit stops?
Yeah, you'd have to think so. He has looked a lot stronger over the last few laps. Just hasn't been able to find a way through, but ended up getting a little bit creative and managed to make something happen. So Sammy Heinemo goes all the way down to position number 4. Thomas Hinz moves his way up to P number 3. And after seeing that, Tony Sorasami will be thinking about getting a little bit more positions at the end of this race as well, seeing that Sammy is not the giant wall, unable to be passed that he thought before. Now there is obviously a way to get past Sammy. He just has to get close enough to make it happen himself. So we see Thomas Hinz there looking back at Sammy. The gap is just eking out nice and slowly. Of course, Sammy will have to draft for a few laps, but I've got a feeling Hinzy has the pace to make sure that he breaks that slipstream before too long.
Yeah, using every bit of the racetrack there. You can see Mateus Woodsko as well. I noticed a few laps earlier, his race has sort of got a bit bad to worse. Had a little spin on his own and just tagged the inside, the wall down at the Shellor's corner, the hairpin. You can see on that rear wing it is bent up pretty crooked right now. Obviously, it's not affecting his pace too much. Obviously, getting that spot over the number 22 of Heinrich Wilson, which also worth pointing out, up 10 spots tonight. So Heinrich having a fantastic run, and just behind him, Tommy DeWild up 12. So few of those who sort of qualified a bit out of place, Tommy being one of them, has ran very, very well in this series that we've broadcasted so far. So a shame to see him right down the back, but has done a very good job keeping himself out of trouble, picking up the spots one by one, currently sitting in 14th.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes that's all you have to do. Well, just sit around at the back, wait for everyone else to fall off the track, as Achille Gorbet has done for a second time in this race. That Lamborghini not treating Achille all too well around this particular race. It's been a tricky one in the first 19 minutes, and sadly for him, there's still another 21 and a half to go as Hayden Burns comes through to just about in the dying stages of this lap, complete lap number 12 and move on to lap number 13. The Sim RC Audi looking very, very strong around here and continues to pull away from second place Luke Turner, who I have to say is super impressive this week. If you look at his iRating, you would not expect this level of pace from him, but he has been on it and challenging some very, very big names in the sim racing community. So Luke doing a great job and could be a talent for the future.
Absolutely. I'd love to know who he drives for, just out of curiosity, but we'll have to find that out another time, I think. But yeah, last week he had a fantastic run at Laguna Seca, and yeah, he's really backed it up this week with running in a very solid second at the moment. But the battle, just having a quick look behind, you can see Sammy and I'll start that one again. Sammy and Tony. That gap really hasn't moved too much. You can see Hendrick into the box. So pit stops starting to happen a little bit now. Everyone's sort of taking the opportunity. We are at the just about at the halfway point in this race. So, planning that strategy. What do? Do you take the pit stop now? Doesn't look like there's a lot of people who are sort of being held up in their positions. They're sort of just sitting kind of line astern. This battle is one of them, both just as quick as each other. They're not really making huge gains. So at this point, you just sort of just go with it. Just might as well keep running your pace, keep running your laps, burn the fuel down in the tank. Maybe they could try and use try and save a bit of fuel maybe, and try and close that gap under the pit stops as well. So, track's hard to pass, but there's still plenty of ways to find your way around an opponent.
Absolutely, and one of those ways around Oulton Park is definitely pit lane entrance. It's actually a very, very tricky pit lane entry here at Oulton Park, and I've seen a lot of people this week getting things completely wrong and are braking way too early or far too late. So if you're a driver who's done your homework, there is a big benefit there, as Matthias Woodshow has perhaps one of the biggest closing speeds I've ever seen here at Oulton Park, and races by Gregory Bullion and will move on into 11th place there. So he's come back after a few little moments in this race. He's well and truly on, and he's doing a fantastic job there. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I believe if you are not closing on the driver in front, you don't feel like you're getting held up at all, there is no reason to really pit early. You just want to run your fuel out all the way to the end so that you're running as long as possible on the lightest possible fuel tank. And from there, take your pit stop and then fuel to the end of the race. But if you are someone who is stuck in a battle and you just can't quite find a way past the driver in front, then that is where perhaps the undercut or going for something a little bit outrageous with your fuel strategy can be worth it. We've seen many times this season where a driver perhaps doesn't undercut in terms of pitting on a different lap. They pit on the same lap, but they underfuel compared to their opponent. And the thing is, with how hard it is to pass here at Oulton Park, if you underfuel and make it so you don't have enough fuel to finish, so you fuel safe to the end, it's still very difficult for your opponent to pass you.
Yep, very much so. And with the way you're sort of fuel saving, you back the pace off as you go into the corner, but you use that to maximize your exit. And as long as you can get off a corner, that's the thing, as long as you can get off a corner really, really well and keep that gap out, it makes it very, very hard for someone to be able to make that move on the brakes and make that pass on you. But the one pass that's looking like might be happening at the moment is this little battle between Dan Carpenter and Paul Mansell. Just having a look at this at the moment, it's very, very close. It's actually starting to pull in Hendrik Unsen as well. These guys have all pitted by the looks of it. So battling for position, you can see Dan Carpenter is using every inch of the track. He's kicking up dirt left, right, and center. Definitely feels like he has the pace at the moment to the two in front, but yeah, trying to get the move done right on the rear bumper as they come through that bend. Very, very close. He's going to size himself up. Paul will go a little bit defensive. No, very defensive. Doesn't look like Dan can really have a look into the second last corner. That car is coming off the corner. Look at the pace. It's off the corner. The Ferrari just not really getting the traction down well. It looks like he's going to get side by side as they head to turn. He's just got the nose there. Paul hangs it right out wide. He's actually going to hold on to it. This is a fantastic battle at the moment. Paul just holding on for now.
Yeah, well, it's worth noting as well that Hendrik in front qualified 23rd. Paul Mansell qualified 25th. Dan Carpenter qualified 5th. So there is a big pace differential there. He has the pace to burn. He knows he's got lap speed around here. He should have been fighting way up the front in today's race, maybe challenging Thomas Hinz for a podium. Sadly, luck hasn't quite fallen his way in today's race, which were not particularly his fault. There's been a few issues in this race that just haven't gone his way, and he's having to make a bit of a comeback. But he has taken the pit stop and is trying to make the comeback this way by pitting a lot earlier than his rivals. At the moment, though, just held up by traffic and cannot find a way past the car in front. It just looks to the inside on Paul Mansell, but Paul's an iron wall. You cannot break him.
Absolutely. I've had the privilege of racing Paul myself, and yeah, as you say, he's very hard to get past, holds a very good line, and just sort of, as we sort of saw there, doesn't make it overly difficult, but just puts the car in a position where it just makes passing that little bit harder, doesn't sort of compromise himself all too much. So yeah, it's going to have a very, very decent effort to get past. You can see the leader at the moment, Hayden Burns, just sailing out front at the moment, doing a very, very good job. You can see he's using absolutely every inch of the racetrack at the moment. But wait and see. We've got 15 minutes to go, so a pit stop will be coming up soon. I wonder if we'll see Hayden to the lane this time by.
Yeah, well, I think there'll still be another 2 or so laps for Hayden Byrne unless he decides to pit with the traffic just a little bit up the road. But if there's no traffic up in front, I think we'll see him continue on right up to the 12-minute mark. These Audis require about 23 litres in the pit stop, so you're expecting pit lane times, or pit stop times I should say, pretty much bang on the 10-second mark around the circuit. So it's actually a relatively short stop compared to a track we've visited earlier in the year of Road America, where we saw pit stops around the 15-second range. Of course, a lot less time spent around the circuit on full throttle, so you do actually use a lot less per lap, with these Audis burning 2.1 a lap there. So a bit of inside knowledge there in the workings of the Audi there. It's a very fuel-efficient car. It's great in the pit stops, and that is one of the big talking points that I have found doing some races myself this week, is that the Audi is very, very strong at the end of the race on a light fuel tank, whereas the McLaren is very, very strong early on, but then fades as the race gets on, as we go back to 9th and 10th place in the form of Seifel Riffin. Matthias Wadshow, who is making his comeback still, running the Super Ultra Mega Low downforce spec rear wing. Of course, very interestingly, with the left side much lower than the right. It does mean he has plenty of downforce in the left-hand corners, though, and he uses that to full effect to wing his way up to 9th. So the comeback is on, and without taking his pit stop just yet, how high up do we think he can go? Because clearly there is pace to burn in that Audi.
Yeah, still plenty of pace to burn. I wonder if that rear wing is actually FIA spec. They might have to actually run another bop check on that one, because clearly getting an advantage out of it. But yeah, pace has been solid, really, really good so far. Sitting in sort of the 32s, which compared to the guys around, they're all sort of sitting in the 33s, the high 32s. So yeah, even though he's got damage.
My goodness, I thought he was going to keep that out of the wall. I thought that was going to be the slide and drift of the year, as he's now under big pressure from Christian Hewitt. We'll watch this battle for now, and then go to a replay after this. But that was an enormous moment there, and I think Dan Carpenter has just about managed to keep himself ahead of Christian Hewitt. He's looking at their last lap times, and these two are basically bang on even in terms of lap speed, so this could be a battle to watch in the next few moments. But we go to a virtual racing school replay, and if you've ever seen Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, well, he's just been outdone by Dan Carpenter here. Big sideways moment, and sadly, bang, hits the wall. Of course, I've watched a little bit of drifting myself, and they use clipping points, so we'll just pretend the wall was a clipping point, Simon.
Does that mean he gets 4 points if he's
I would give him 4 points, and the race. It's over.
Imagine if we could solve races like that. I mean, maybe that'd still be pretty entertaining. Like, see how well you can slide an Audi R8. Audi R8, I think, would slide pretty well. Not so sure about a McLaren. Doesn't seem like the kind of car that could sort of drift really that well. But
it spits fire.
So it gets points. All right, it gets points for spitting fire. Fair enough. We'll give you that one. So you can see Hayden on screen at the moment. Just a little pop-in picture. You can see there is the dart for the lane, so he's burnt every little bit of that tanker, and Luke Turner will also be making a duck for the lane. So 12 minutes to go, about 8 laps to the leader. So yeah, it'll be a very, very short stop for these guys to get to the end of this race. So we'll have to wait and see. Interesting to see if they actually come out in traffic. Watching other cars, see Tony also going to the lane as well. Sammy and Hinsey actually are gonna keep going. It'll be interesting to see if Hayden actually comes out in traffic. Matt Morris moving through into third place at the moment. He'll come out behind Matt Morris, so this will be interesting. How quick? Just have a quick look at Luke Turner. Luke Turner in clean air, so this will be interesting to see what happens with Hayden. There's a big enough gap back to Luke Turner. I don't think it's really going to be affecting him too much. He might just roll out of it and just wait until Matt pits. But either way, if it was a much closer battle, this would really play into the hands of Luke Turner.
I'm just looking at their pit stop times, and they've both got relatively slow pit lane times compared to other races I've seen this week. So what that tells me is Hayden Burns and Luke Turner have been pushing like anything in this race and really maximizing their fuel tank. So interesting to note the pace they're all running at, and just how aggressive they are being. We'll see a big battle here out of pit lane. Hendrik Unzen goes side by side with Tommy DeWild, and the BMW is going to keep it to the inside and dart on through using the camber of the road. But the McLaren has plenty of straight line speed. What can the McLaren do? Can it close up enough to challenge into the fast left-hander? It peeks its nose out, but no can do, and it will have to spit some fire in the face of the Ferrari behind, as there is no opportunity for a move. And sadly, he goes for the move anyway, and we find ourselves with the car hard into the wall.
Oh, that was so unfortunate. There was a little bit of a dive there. It sort of half looks like he was going to sort of just get there, but yeah, the contact was definitely in the rear quarter. So Tommy obviously probably didn't mean that. He was looking for an opportunity to get past, but unfortunately Hendrik is the one that loses out in that little incident there. So a fantastic job by Hendrik was doing in this race. Picked himself up quite a few spots. Was actually sort of in that gap with Tommy that was making their way through the field. So fortunate to sort of see. We've got Paul Mansell just behind as well, so maybe Paul might use that to take advantage. We can see more pits up being completed, and Matt Morris leaving the lane. So Tony on out of turn 2. Looks like still going to have a bit of a gap between Sammy. So that pit stop hasn't worked out for him, going that extra lap, trying to use that extra little lap of low fuel pace. Just hasn't quite closed the gap up enough for that one.
No, not at all. So that gap will remain as large as ever. And sadly for Sammy Heinemo, if he's going to find a way past Hinsey, he's got to do it on track now. So we've got a replay here, and that was a dive and a half. I'm not so sure about that one. Of course, it is a breaking point into there, absolutely. But with the racing line you take and how cambered the corner is, all the drivers always go straight to the inside. So if you stick your nose in there, it's always going to be a closing gap. So I'm not so sure that is a past opportunity you really should go for unless you have overlap coming into the corner, which given the high speed left before it is a super, super tricky thing to do. But live and learn, and I'm sure the McLaren driver won't be doing that in future races. Lesson learned, and that is the main thing. If you make a mistake, learn from it, and move on to the next one.
Yep, very, very wise words there. You can see actually behind that pack at the moment, we've got lap traffic, Darren Tune, who's a lap up on these guys at the moment. So that's the other thing with Oulton Park, as the gap sort of spreads out, you can very easily find yourself stuck in lap traffic, which can obviously be a bit of a issue when you're trying to go through. You can see it right here as well, although it does not look like Darren is really battling with anyone at the moment, so might be too much of an issue, but you can see the pace. You can see Dan Carpenter actually having a real good look at the car that's a lap up, so Dan's not really caring too much. And sorry, no, being told this race is actually for position. Sorry, I thought he was showing me as a lap down. So no, this definitely is for position.
Well, Dan, of course, was stuck behind Paul Mansell for so long, could not find a way past. That's got even worse for Dan, unfortunately, because now there's a car in between him and Paul. So the brick wall that was Paul Mansell that couldn't be passed now has a steel wall in front of it. This is just getting worse and worse for Dan Carpenter right now. I feel bad for him because he has such good pace. He's clearly ultra fast around here. But everything that could go wrong, I think, has gone wrong for him. But his fighting spirit has not been broken, so absolute credit to him for continuing to hammer on as we are looking at 5.5 laps to go. And, well, I mean, you know, if Paul Mansell has a bit of a crack here at Tommy the Wild, who I believe is holding the field up just a little bit in front, if those two came together, Darren Tune now lets Dan Carpenter go. This is still not over for Dan Carpenter, so he's got good pace. He knows that he's faster than Paul Mansell and Tommy the Wild. It's just a matter of, can he find the gap?
Yeah, and that's going to be the big thing. Finding a gap around here is difficult. See, Paul's all over the back of Tommy as well, so this is definitely going to be a bit of a three-way battle. You know, Dan definitely has the pace, there's no question about that. He's going to close up and get himself involved, but if Paul's feeling that he has got the pace at the moment, he's definitely going to be having a bit. Look at the flame spitting out of that McLaren. That is just so good to watch, and a bit sideways out of the final turn for Tommy. That's going to open up a little bit of an opportunity for Paul, but I don't think the straight's going to be long enough to present itself.
Just quickly to cut you off here, Fabio Iotti and Matthew Keane having a big battle at the moment, side by side between the two. That was a big moment into turn number 1, and I think Matthew Keane will get that position and run away from Fabio Iotti. But I just quickly joined that as they were going through turn number 1, and they were playing for keeps. A massive dive at turn 1 from Fabio Iotti to get up the inside, and he overrun the corner, and Matthew Keane with a beautiful cutback will go straight to a virtual racing school replay. And take a look at this, because Fabio Iotti with a massive dive at turn 1, you'll see here on the inside, lunges it up the inside of Matthew Keane, and Matthew saw it coming, left plenty of speed, got the exit speed, and the battle continued on into turn number 3. Of course, turn number 2 being the kink, turn number 3 being the left-hander, and Matthew Keane with the much preferred line to keep up speed, manages to hold on to it.
That is fantastic bit of racing there. But that was a massive send from Fabio. And you got to remember, Fabio was also involved in that opening lap incident as well. So he's come all the way back up to 13th spot. So where he started at 14th, so he's not only got himself back to where he was, he's gained a spot out of it. So that is a terrific effort. And also noticing another car with a bit of damage to the rear wing. So it's becoming a bit of a trade around this place. Even though you've got a bit of damage, on most tracks that would be a big detriment to your pace. You'd sort of notice yourself fall away. Here it doesn't seem to be a big factor. If you've got the pace and the car's still pointing straight, you could still salvage a really good result. So Oulton Park delivering the racing once again.
With the pace of Iotti and Dan Carpenter at the moment with broken wings, I think in the next sprint race I might back the car into a wall on purpose just to get a slightly faster car for the remaining 40 minutes at the rate these guys are going. But Dan Carpenter with a bit of a gap to Paul Mansell now in front, but he still has 4 laps to play with. Dan, not again! Tokyo Drift round 2! And sadly it's gone a lot worse this time. Lucky to not be collected. There was Tokyo Drift the first time, and there's never enough time for a sequel, and sadly he's gone for it, and that was a big hit into the wall. He'll continue on but any hopes of getting past the Paul Mansell wall have sadly gone again. So we're just speaking about the wing, you know, maybe not hurting the cars as much as possible, but a broken wing is less downforce and of such a high-speed loaded corner as turn number 4 here at Oulton Park Raceway. Sometimes that downforce goes a long way, turns in, car snaps around, and nudges it into the tyre wall on the inside.
Yeah, unfortunate to see that. Well, fingers crossed in this
Oh, there's
one.
another car, Fabio Iotti. So both the cars we've just commented with broken wings doing great have sadly disproven us, and that was all by himself was Fabio Iotti. He had a really big run on Matthew Keane, tried to go to the inside but swung out way too wide and put himself into the grass, and eventually quite lucky to avoid the tyre wall as well. So all the Audis we've just praised have gone off the road.
There's a bit too much Tokyo drifting going on, and much like the series franchise, I think they should just stop it there, because it's just getting a bit ridiculous. So, but yeah, talking them up, and now it's all sort of falling to pieces a little bit.
Well,
but
they're together now. The two
Oh,
Audis we've just hyped up are now together on track, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. But this could be fireworks, the battle of the broken wings.
Oh, that sounds like a week 13 category right there. So get Steve Myers on the phone. I think he might want that one.
I think that is Battle of the Little Wings. That's actually a series.
So we'll just take all the wings off it and call it the Broken Wing series. That sounds like a fantastic series. You can see the battle's definitely going on with Dan on the outside of Fabio as they head down into turn 11 and 12. He's going to try go. He's gone around the outside, and there's a tiny bit of contact. Could not quite see what happened there, but there was a bit of a touch. He's got past. Dan has got past, and Fabio will keep going. But please, boys, no more damage. You've done enough already.
Lots and lots of contact here. I think it was just on the turn-in point there. I hate to say the dirty word, of course, it's the word you're not meant to say at all, but I do think there was just a little bit of netcode involved in that battle there, unfortunately, as they turned in. I think Dan definitely left enough room. Sadly, the internet connection decided there was not enough room, and just hip-checked Fabio Iotti off the road. He only lost the one spot, so not too much harm done. But Dan definitely leaving enough room there. It was just an unfortunate little bit of contact, and Fabio will lose that one spot.
That was actually a fantastic effort by both of them there, because it's easy enough to run a little bit wide and cause contact with the car on the outside, or just clamp down a little bit too much on the entry, because you obviously want to try and make sure that you make the next sequence of corners. So for both of them to get through there without, obviously, if that little bit of netcode hadn't happened, that would have been a fantastic little battle there. So credit to both of them. It's not easy to do, and they've both almost pulled it off beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely. As we go up to this battle with the Seifler Riffin, the Agustin Vera Blanco at the moment, the McLaren and the BMW just having a bit of a scrap at the moment as the race comes into its dying stages. We've got Hayden Burns on the last lap of the race now. Still a while to go for him, but if you're going to make a move for a position, well, you've only got one more chance to do it, and as Tony Salami, is there the advantage? Is he able to close that gap up and fire it up the inside at the final corner on the last lap? That is what we'll have to try and figure out for ourselves as they work their way through turn number 3. A long way to go as our picture-in-picture goes to the race leader of Hayden Burns. And I've got to say, it's the first race I've seen from Hayden Burns in Sim RC colours recently. Transferred across from Vendeville Racing. I say recently, but this might have been about 2 or 3 months ago now. But it was an interesting call. I wasn't sure if it was the right one myself. It was a bit of a interesting one that I really did not see coming, but he is absolutely shutting me up today. He's doing a great effort and comfortably led this race from start to finish and into the final corner of the race. Round number 9 of the Strength of the Field races here in the virtual racing school GT Sprint Series all belong to Hayden Burns. He takes the checkered flag in dominant fashion, and a brilliant drive led every lap from pole position, fastest lap of the race. What more could you ask for as Luke Turner comes across the hill for the final time to get a well-deserved 2nd place, and 3rd place looks like it will go to the driver of Thomas Hins, comfortably leading ahead. But I might just go back to this battle for 4th and 5th, as Tony is a long way back. It would require an enormous dive not able to do it. I think Sammy Hynamo is going to be able to hold on to 4th spot. Loses 1 spot from where he qualified, but he had to work hard for it. And will get the goods at the end of it as Tony gets the top 5. Matt Morris in 6th with the final few cars across the line. Augustin Vera Blanco is getting passed around the outside by Cypher Riff side by side between the two. But the BMW not able to get the traction and will have to settle for the position he started the race in.
That was, I just reflected that just as that was occurring. That is a very, very good late last race dive and very well defended too from Augustin as well. So fantastic job there. We've got more cars coming across the line at the moment, finishing up this race. Oh, just saw a car stopped on the front straight. Dan Carpenter coming across the line in 19th place, down 14 spots. So that was a race that definitely should have been a lot better for him, and unfortunately has ended up down the pack.
Yes, indeed. So Oulton Park, we knew it was going to be an interesting race. Those opening few laps in particular really did cause a bit of chaos that hindered a lot of drivers. Over the next 40 minutes, we saw several spins due to damaged cars. We saw plenty of battles that I wasn't expecting either. But the driver that weathered the storm at the end of it all was Hayden Burns. 26 laps done, led all 26. I can't get my words out tonight, but Hayden Burns could get his apexes out tonight because he wins by some 9 seconds over Luke Turner. Thomas Hins gets a podium for the BMW in 3rd to make it 3 manufacturers on the podium. Sammy Hynamo in 4th ahead of Tony Solaslami, who ran him close all the way to the checkered flag. Matt Morris in position number 6 finishes ahead of Matthias Wadshow, Maverick Benson, Augustin Vera Blanco, and Seifel Riffin, who round out our top 10.
And we go back to 11, Calix Poon in the Audi R8, Matthew Keane in 12th, Gregory Bullen in 13th, Tommy DeWild up 12 spots into 14th, Paul Mansell in 15th, Darren Tune 16th, Christian Kuit coming back from that early incident on the first lap to 17th place, Paul Budashik in 18th, I've made a mess of that too, Dan Carpenter in 19th, and Hendrik Unsen in 20th place.
21st goes to Fabio Iotti, who clearly had a very bruising end to the race, losing another spot as well. So it wasn't Fabio's day, but he still finishes ahead of the drivers that had even worse luck, including Jack Mitchell, Achille Gorbett, Simon Nicholson, Enzo Hakita, and Mitch McLeod, who we saw DNF on just lap number 2. So it was an eventful round number 9 of the Virtual Racing School GT Sprint Series, but what is round 10 going to bring? We're heading to a very interesting circuit indeed. You can see it's bumpy, it is vicious, and Simon, there's a lot of concrete. It's Sebring.
Yep, home to these GT3 cars obviously race here in real life as part of the IMSA Sports Car Series for the 12 hours. So it's a bumpy track, but it is a track that always delivers fantastic racing. Every time we come here, no matter what series it's in, no matter what cars we run, it'll always deliver fantastic racing. So when we go here next week, I am going to be looking forward to it.
Absolutely, we should see a very competitive race because, of course, the Sebring 12 hours is just around the corner. Of course, the Bathurst 12 hours comes first, but Sebring not far away either, so expect to see a lot of quick drivers just getting things fine-tuned ahead of that race in March. But for us, you don't have to wait till March for the next race. We're here all days, most of the week, and there's going to be plenty of action on SimSpeed TV. So be sure to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like the video and tell me and Simon that we're not very good at our jobs because, let's face it, we're probably not. Thank you to Simon Dote for being my co-commentator for tonight. He did a fantastic job. And of course, Mr. J.K. Kennedy in the director's chair once again. But from us here at SimSpeed TV, thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you next time. This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got really outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go.
Oh no!
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my god.
God, what?